HTML is a markup language that websites use to contain their content. It's basically just a document that your browser can open, which will then display a web page. Every website uses HTML, but they use it in different ways. Even a complex web app like Google Docs uses HTML, although it also uses other code like JavaScript. So anytime you visit a website in your browser, know that HTML is playing an important role. Almost all websites use text, and one of the most common ways to organize text is with paragraphs. You can create paragraphs in HTML using the p tag. You'll need a start tag and an end tag. By default, each paragraph will have a little bit of margin above and below it, to give it some space between other elements. Although you can put text in other types of elements, it's very common to use the p tag whenever you're working with a large amount of text. Lists are used on web pages all the time. There are two types of lists you can create: ordered and unordered. Ordered lists will use the OL tag to add numbers at the beginning of each line, while unordered lists will use the UL tag to add a bullet point to each line. With both types, you'll use the LI tag for each list item. So just remember, if you want to create a list, just decide which type you want, and then use the appropriate HTML tags to build it. HTML tags include a tag name and 2 angle brackets, but that's not the whole story. You'll sometimes need to add attributes as well. An attribute is a bit of extra information that tells the tag what it should do or what it should look like. For example, an href attribute is used in a link to tell it what to link to. And a source attribute tells an image tag which image to display. Finally, if you have a start tag and an end tag, the attributes will always go in the start tag. The web is full of links. One page links to another, which links to another, and so on. These links are created in HTML using the A tag. Like most tags, you'll need a start and end tag, and whatever is in between them will be the text that appears on the link. But you'll also need to tell it which page to link to. This is done with something called an href, and this will point to a URL. That's it. When viewed on a website, the link will be clickable, and it will bring the user to the URL when clicked. To add images to HTML, you'll use the image tag, which is spelled IMG. It's a little different from most tags because you only need one tag. For this to work, you'll need an image that you can link to. One option is to copy the URL for an image that's already online. Inside the tag, you'll add the source, which tells it where the image is located. The image will now appear on your web page. HTML buttons are very common on the web, and they're often used to make objects appear, disappear, move, and much more. They use the button tag. Whatever is between the start and end tags will appear on the button. By itself, an HTML button doesn't really do anything, but websites can use languages like JavaScript to make buttons trigger actions, as well as CSS to give the buttons a variety of styles. Every HTML element has a default display setting, which controls how it stacks with other elements on the page. The two most common types are inline and block level. Inline elements include bold and italics, links and spans, and these stack horizontally. Block level elements include paragraphs, headings, and divs. These take up all of the available width, so they stack vertically. Now these are just the default values. Many websites modify these values using CSS and even use other display properties. One of the most important HTML elements is the div. A div is just an invisible box that can contain any kind of content, even other divs. And that's basically it. Divs don't really do anything unique, but that makes them extremely versatile. Most websites use lots of divs, nested in complex ways to organize the content of the site. Although they're invisible by default, web developers often style them to give them different colors and borders. So the next time you look at a website, try to see how the content is organized on the page. Chances are, it's mostly thanks to divs.